Hi everybody and welcome to Module 5. I just wanted to let you all know that I emailed you to let you know that the questions were posted and the lecture is up. And I'm hoping that this video will be up sometime today, Sunday as well. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Just know that I did extend the deadlines in light of the holiday. I know some people were concerned that they were traveling and that they might not have time to get it done given that the due date is usually Thursday. So I gave you all an extra day. Your initial essays will be due by midnight on Friday, and then I'm just asking you to do your responses by midnight on Sunday. So I hope that'll relieve a little stress and help you guys enjoy your holiday a little bit more. This week I just wanted to start with a recap of last week's material and of the discussion on the Blackboard online. First of all, great job, you guys. The questions are getting tougher, and you guys are definitely hanging in there, so I appreciate that. And I know that the readings were pretty lengthy, but I think that you'll find throughout your career that the Melton book especially is going to become something that you'll reference all of the time. So you're ahead of the game by having started to read it already. With regard to the first question about mental health consultation in the news, I just wanted to summarize a little bit and then make a couple comments. First of all, I think you guys did an excellent job. You made some really good points, especially with the application of going back to the ethical code and finding out what kinds of guidance it might be able to give you in situations like this. I also thought that the point that you raised about balancing society's interests against the interests of the individual were also particularly good and interesting. So I hope that you all will keep that up. The second case was actually a real case I had, the risk assessment case that I talked about. And the reason that I raised this case is because it was one that was particularly tough for me when I had it. And it really brought home, I think, for one of the first times for me, the enormity of the decisions that sometimes we're called upon to make and the consequences that those decisions involve sometimes actually can be life or death decisions. And so we really are asked to balance the individual's right to liberty and to live free in society against protecting society from that person's actions in the past and in the future. And this was a case actually that I got in the context of the person having made this serious suicide attempt. And I was asked for the hospital to go back and try and figure out what had happened because the treatment team members, the forensic person that evaluated him for release initially, everyone was kind of baffled about what had happened. So Bruce's point was actually well taken. The first thing that I did was to go back and try to figure out what was it about this change in situation that had triggered this. And it was actually that he really wasn't ready for release, but he felt this social pressure to make his treatment team, who he thought he had worked so hard for him, happy. And in their mind, they were thinking, well, of course he wants to get out of here, right? This isn't the best place to live in the hospital. And for him, it's what he'd become used to. He'd spent half of his life in the hospital because his crime was committed at such a young age. And the hospital was what he knew, and leaving it was a scary proposition. But he was feeling like he was being pushed out the door and being pressured to say that he was ready to go when he wasn't. So this led to depression for him and actually a resurgence of some paranoia and delusional beliefs that we only found out about after the fact. So in the end, my decision was he had been confined to the unit since the time of the suicide attempt, and in the end, my decision was to give him grounds privileges as he seemed to have functioned with those before. But all of your points about examining medication, looking at length of time since the suicide attempt, taking a closer look at what the infractions that he had in the past were all really excellent points. So I think you guys did a great job with a really tough question, and raised some good issues about the institutionalization of this person and how one can become accustomed to being institutionalized and making the outside world a pretty scary prospect. So I hope you guys like that one. It's a little hypothetical of release decision making, and I think the converse of that being the decision to confine our patients when they're not doing well are both huge decisions, and I think you really did realize the enormity of them. The third question, I tried to get at some of the practical aspects of the consultation and forensic consulting practice, and I hope that that was helpful for you and will help you become more comfortable with some of the tougher issues to discuss. I still feel uncomfortable at times when when it comes down to having to bill things, and I think part of that is just having not gotten used to the process when I was in my graduate training. So I'm hoping that that discussion was helpful. One thing that I did want to point out regarding who you contract with, if there's an attorney involved in the case, is that often you do want to actually do the contract with the attorney, because it better ensures that you're going to get paid. If it's the client signing the contract, then the attorney's not obligated to help with the collection process. So if the person is represented, then you really do want to contract with the attorney and not with the client as far as payment issues go. So that's our wrap up for last week. And this week's material, we're going to start talking about testimony. And I'm hoping that this testimony section that I've divided into two parts is going to help you prepare for our mock trial, which will be on the weekend. And in particular, I want to ask you to, as soon as possible, answer the question that's up about your familiarity with child custody cases and testimony in general, because I have a couple cases in mind, one which I was actually planning to use, but I want to make sure that no one's given an unfair advantage in any way, and that it's at an appropriate level for you guys to be able to handle. But this week, the materials are the Melton materials, and then also the Brodsky book, which I know it's a whole book, but it's actually a really fun read, so I hope that you like it. He's got a great writing style, and if you ever have the chance to go see him speak, I highly recommend it. And so the lecture and the materials will focus on some of the practical aspects of testimony and beginning the consultation process of taking on a forensic evaluation. And I'm hoping that by becoming familiar with court expectations and the court process, that you'll be a more effective witness, because you'll be able to focus on the case itself and not have to worry about the procedural aspects. For example, you'll know what to expect there. So if you have any questions, feel free to either send me an email or post them on the site. I'm actually going to create a spot for questions this week on the website, so that if it's a question that you feel comfortable posing there and you think your classmates would benefit from hearing the answer as well, feel free to put it up there, and I will answer it for everybody to take a look at. Other than that, I hope you enjoy your holiday and have safe travels, and I'll look forward to talking with you again when you get back. Thanks.